Belinda and HarperAudio Australia present this unabridged recording of Future You, Be Curious, Say Yes to Change, written by Frances Valintine and read by Fiona Macleod. For anyone who has ever picked themselves up, dusted themselves off, and started at the beginning again. Introduction. In the shadow of a mountain. Life is a journey through time. When I was growing up, everything I knew and experienced was rooted in the ingrained norms of tradition. Each day followed a familiar schedule. I'd wake early, put on my dressing gown and gumboots, and head outside to feed the chickens and my pets. Depending on the season, there would be orphaned lambs or calves to bottle feed. My siblings and I would set the table for breakfast, make our school lunches and pack our school bags. We'd then play rock, paper, scissors to see who would go out to the road to track down the daily newspaper that had been thrown out the window of a passing rural delivery driver's van. Our farm was remote, located 5 kilometres from the nearest town, which had a population of 8,000. Everyone I knew had a similar life. Our daily rituals had been shaped by generations of farming families who all knew each other. By 1981, when I was 10, the BBC midday radio report in my small primary school class was talking about global population growth and the launch of Space Shuttle Columbia, which was in turn igniting talks about the future of space travel. This period is memorable for coinciding with John Hinckley Jr.'s attempt to assassinate US President Ronald Reagan and the extreme drought and famine that was unfolding in Africa. By the end of that year, the BBC news anchor was talking about what the future might hold. I wondered how these advances would affect the world I knew. I couldn't begin to imagine how the news stories I was hearing might affect me. It was as though dual worlds existed. There was my small community, and there was the distant, unfamiliar place that other people lived. While I didn't know it at the time, my world had many of the key elements of what we would now refer to as a circular economy. Our community operated like a collective, where sharing and reusing was commonplace. All my neighbours and our family harvested food from the land, and everything that could be was reused, repaired, or refurbished. My family had well-established cycles of activity tied to the months on the calendar, from food production to breeding cycles, to planting based on weather conditions. There were so few instruments of change then, just the seasons. From the vantage point of our regular farming routines, I couldn't imagine how my rural community's strong traditions and practices would ever alter. I learned how to read a wind vane, a thermometer, a barometer, and a rain gauge. For every change in atmospheric condition, we had a routine or process to activate. I learned to understand nature and its resilience through the extremes of weather. Living in the shadow of a mountain, I felt the cold of the harsh winter. Chilblains, from walking across ice-crisp, frost-covered pastures, were a winter constant. Winter always felt so long as the cold set in, the only relief the fire in the lounge. I yearned for spring each year, impatiently waiting for the new season's growth to break through the frozen ground. Summer was the extreme opposite. I came alive as the long, hot summer days gave me freedom from school and a renewed sense of possibility. The start of the summer was marked by the arrival of university students, hired to help harvest crops. Summer meant holidays at the beach, sleeping under the awning attached to my grandparents' caravan. I would lie awake at night listening to the roar of the ocean as it crashed on the black sand beach. In contrast to the other adults in my community, who followed the roles and aspirations of their parents, my father had an entrepreneurial streak. From a young age, he
Sample complete. Ready to continue?